Hello and welcome to the Responsive Family Sleep Podcast. I'm your host, Kim Hawley, holistic sleep coach, lactation consultant, peaceful parenting educator, and mom. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by all the conflicting sleep info, frustrated with sleep information that just plain felt wrong, or searched desperately for a truly gentle and responsive sleep approach, then you are in the right place. In each episode, we'll be answering your most pressing baby and toddler sleep questions, busting those sleep myths, and helping you understand truly developmental, biologically normal baby and toddler sleep, plus encouraging you to trust your intuition along the way. Let's get started. Hello, and welcome back to the podcast. This week, we're going to be talking about naps. I feel like it's been a little bit since we've done a nap-specific episode, maybe early in the fall. And naps are something I hear a lot of misinformation from parents, from clients of mine, from folks taking, my newborn sleep class. I just hear so much misinformation about what makes a nap a good nap, because there's just so much wild stuff right out there about sleep in general and about what makes an acceptable nap. So in this episode, I wanted to highlight some of the myths and then talk about how do you know if your child is having a good nap, right? So first, myths, misconceptions, things that are not universally true but presented as true. I'm sure you can think of some right now, right? Or maybe you think of a lot of nap information, you just don't know if it's true or not true. But things that I hear most common are naps need to be a certain length to be restorative, right? Some people say an hour, some people say we have to have at least a 2-hour nap, right? Naps need to be in the dark. Naps need to be in the crib. Contact nap, short nap, motion naps don't count. They're junk sleep, right? None of those are true. Absolutely none of those are true. So how do you know then if it's a good nap? Right? The first thing is that it's restorative, right? Your kiddo seems rested. And rested doesn't necessarily always mean they wake up sunny and happy and perfectly in a good mood. Some kids do wake up a bit grumpy, even from a nap that was restful, right? That was restorative. But if overall, once they get up and get moving, they seem rested, they seem like they are in a good mood and able to just be themselves, right? Then their nap was probably good enough. We do know that there are certain environments that support a healthy circadian rhythm, right? I talk about this a lot, including earlier this month, and that does mean naps in light, that we don't want to create naps in super dark because that can undermine the circadian rhythm. So naps in normal light. There are certainly ways to modify that for a very easily stimulated child. And, kiddos need different things to nap well. So for some babies, a nap in their crib might be really great. For other babies, baby wearing or contact nap might be really great, right? For some babies, a nap in the stroller, trying to do that, right? It's just too stimulating. They aren't able to settle down and they do need less stimulation. For others, that's perfect and you get the best quality sleep. And so there isn't a universal about where a child is napping. Like that's really child specific, and even within a specific child, that can vary based on age and developmental pieces. What else? How long, right? How long their nap is, again, it's not that an hour nap or a 2-hour nap is magic and they have to experience, a quote unquote full sleep cycle in the textbook way that we think about it for a nap to be restorative. Your child's brain is going to prioritize the amount and type of sleep it needs as long as it has the support it needs to get that rest. And so that's where we might see really short naps for a baby that's struggling to nap in a certain environment, and then we change the environment and they sleep better. So there isn't a universal nap length. I've done episodes on short naps before and how they can be fine, right? And so it's looking again at the overall picture, right? If they wake happy and rested or a little grumpy but then immediately are fine from a short nap, that could be fine. That could be a really good restorative nap for them. If they wake up and they still seem really tired, then that wasn't restorative, right? Or it didn't quite give them the sleep that they need. So can we extend that nap? Can we tweak to get them napping in a way that meets their needs more, right? And that could be changing the environment. It could be offering more support. It could be rethinking our overall sleep timings, right? There's lots of ways to do that. But there isn't like this magic length that makes it a good. We don't have like a prescriptive way to think about how naps go throughout the day. What does the nap rhythm look like? What is the nap schedule that you should be doing to make these naps good naps? That just doesn't exist, right? We have general trends. A lot of it with less research behind it than some other pieces of sleep information. So sometimes we're extrapolating, right, from other types of sleep data. We know generally, like, hey, a lot of babies sleep this much during the day. And for a lot of babies at this age, it looks like this number of naps. But that's not a prescriptive, definite that's going to say this is what gets them good daytime sleep. So all of this is to say that there's a lot of fluidity with what makes a good nap. You know, crib versus motion versus contact, right? You know, length versus and spacing. These all vary. So the best way to know if your baby is getting a good nap is to watch them, right? To watch their mood, to look at the overall sleep pattern, and to sometimes set aside the rules, right? Some babies are going to be short nappers. Some babies are going to need longer naps, and we have to treat them like an individual. And so I think there's the piece of working out what works best for your baby or your toddler, and then there's the piece of being able to block out all the really confident voices that say it has to be like this or you're doing something wrong. And that's true for all sleep, right? There's so much of that information out there that we just need to say, no, this is what works for my child. This is what they seem to do well on. More sleep is not always better. Less sleep is not always better, right? We really need to say, what do they need? So that's a messy answer to what makes a good nap, right? But it's also a simple answer to what makes a good nap. Look at how much sleep your baby seems to need and what helps them feel rested and what support they need to get that. And set up your nap rhythm based on that versus what an app or a blog or a podcast or a book or a doctor necessarily says that they need. Thank you for joining me today. I hope this episode left you feeling more informed, confident, and encouraged on your sleep journey. And just a reminder before you go that nothing in this episode is individualized to your specific sleep situation, nor is it to be taken as medical advice. Take what resonates, ignore what doesn't, and check with your healthcare provider about any medical concerns. Take a moment to subscribe to this podcast so that you'll never miss an episode. And take a moment to rate, review, or share an episode you love on social media. All of that helps parents just like you find me, this podcast, and this gentle and responsive sleep information. I'll see you next time.